Another. I've only had one though.
Yeah, that's right.
I need like just
so,
give me a little pour there.
I'm slacking.
Yeah,
I'm slacking.
You're actually you're that's your responsibility with just your chair situation.
I'm not sure how I feel about it. I'll be honest with you.
So,
I'm not
dude,
that great of a bartender.
Yeah, that was kind of shaky pour.
Yeah. Right out of the decanter.
That was the Austin hasn't eaten yet.
Yeah, exactly.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to the A&A show. Sitting here next to me, you guys already know, it's my marital partner. That's my new thing. I kind of like that.
Yeah, you like that?
It's my partner.
You've been testing out your intro for a little while
Yeah, for
now.
sure. Just kind of dialing it in and see what's good and what's not good here. And we got Mr. Zaback, guys. This is going to be a phenomenal episode here, so definitely stay tuned. Our guest here today, as you guys can see, we started a little early. I had to have a glass of scotch here with the Snow, man. Josh Snow, thank you so much for coming on to the show, brother.
Gentlemen, my pleasure.
Yes, I'm excited for this, ladies and gents. So, typically what we do, Josh, is we kind of just lay it down in terms of, what does life look like right now? And then we kind of peel back the onions, the layers. We want to hear, the listeners and the viewers that are on here. If you guys haven't already, make sure and give us a 5-star review on Spotify.
Smash the subscribe button. Click that like button.
That's right. But we want to just give them a peep of the lifestyle that is right now, what companies you own, where you live, obviously the Dale, okay? And then obviously we kind of just peel back the layer of the onions.
And for those of you guys that don't know, this is Josh Snow. I don't know how.
Snowman.
I would imagine that everybody knows.
Everybody knows.
Josh Snow, but if you don't know him, I mean, you're about to be in for a special treat today. So make sure you get your notebook out. You're taking notes. We're going to dive into a bunch of different stuff, and there's going to be a lot of value, a lot of wisdom, knowledge, right?
Yep.
I'm really excited.
For sure.
Even for me personally.
Yeah, I'm going to learn a lot, man.
Yeah.
Cool. So let's dive into it, baby.
All right. So lifestyle. Well, things are great. When I started out, I just wanted to do something. I think we all start with that urge to want to do something more, wanting to be something, be someone.
Yeah.
So right now, life is good. I think I'm still figuring things out. Believe it or not, 14 years later.
For sure.
People see the Ferraris and the Lambos and all that, and they think that, obviously with Snow, they say, oh man, that happened very quickly because I'm not the oldest guy in the room or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Well, that might be. But anyway, in that sense, but right now life is good. I'm still working a lot because I love what I do, but it's different.
Yeah.
It's like every 5 years, it's a different style of work.
For sure.
Right. So like right now, could I just hang out and chill? Sure. But I really like what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And after a while, you become addicted to the joy of achievement. And I feel like I'm hooked on just achievement, moving up to the next level. Obviously being an inspiration for others is important to me. And then, after a while, like going from car to car or from one place to the next, there's not that much of a difference.
For
right?
sure.
Like you go a little bit faster. Like hop into McLaren, hop into Lambo, and hop into Ferrari.
Yeah.
One has better seats than the others, but they're all going to get you there around the same time. So for me, it's after a certain point, it's now, I built something that has become so big and relevant, particularly with Snow. So I own a bunch of different brands, but Snow is the one that is consumer facing. It's the one that everybody knows me by. I go by Josh Snow.
Yeah.
And Snow is essentially the Crest and Colgate of the modern day. So it's an oral care company. I realized an opportunity to create something that was different, that was refreshing, something that elevated kind of the aesthetic of what oral care, what people thought of oral care. I don't know if a lot of people take a picture of a Crest or a Colgate tube and post it on Instagram. For sure. I don't think that's a thing.
No.
But we have, over 1 million followers who post about our products. And so we felt like there was an opportunity to create another option for people looking to either whiten their teeth, have, better breath, etc. So we're well on our way with that. And that's what I'm up to today for the most part. And that's what I'm known for.
I like that.
Is Snow Teeth Whitening. Yeah.
Snow Teeth Whitening.
We had an opportunity to interview one of your business partners the other day, Anthony. We were talking about before the show. Really great guy. I'm excited to dive more into that as well. I know that, we kind of dove into the financial services and that a little bit in that show. So if you guys haven't checked that episode, definitely go check it out.
And Anthony, that's a big business too.
Yeah.
Right. So, Me and Anthony run that personal finances business. It's really a financial wellness brand.
Yeah.
We help in all different areas from insurance to credit repair, but that's a big business.
Yeah.
Snow's really big. Snow's really well known because it's direct to consumer. It's in everybody's face.
For sure.
But, without Anthony, I would not be able to run that business.
Sure.
I really, he's the operating partner. He's the bread and butter.
Yeah.
But, I'm fortunate to be involved in several different enterprises that are, very significant in size and growing very quickly. So you can imagine that my day is kind of crazy because but at this point in my life, my job is to put out fires and to solve things that nobody else can solve.
For sure.
And that's, there's a lot of responsibility with that, right? So like you hire really good people and you support them and you lead them. But ultimately, if there's something that they can't solve, it funnels its way up to you, which means that you're generally solving, if you hire the right people, you're generally solving the most difficult challenges in a business.
Yeah.
So every day your brain's got to be sharp. You got to be on it.
Yep.
And it'll go like, it's funny. Some days will be like 2 or 3 days where there's just not a lot going on.
Yeah.
And so, but I've got to be ready.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
But and I know when there's like a calm, I'm like, okay, something's gonna happen.
Right.
Yeah.
And of course, all in one day, 5,000 things happen in
Yeah.
one day, and I'm just, and everyone's looking at me across all the different companies and saying, Josh, you have to solve this. Like, help us.
Yeah.
Right.
And so, and of course, like that's my job.
Yep.
So it depends. But I think that now I get paid to be able to do that. So like, I don't get paid to necessarily sit behind a screen for 16 hours a day.
For sure.
I get paid to, when I need to do something, it's got to be done. It's got to be done well. It's got to be done right.
Yeah.
When you think about the most, highest paid people in the world, they're essentially being paid to either speak or think.
Yeah.
Right.
And I never thought that would be attractive. I never thought that would be something I would be doing.
Yeah.
But I think right now, it's my job is to think.
Yeah.
My job is to talk, sell, speak, train, lead.
Yeah.
Sure.
So it's a really interesting scenario. I kind of feel like a politician some days. I don't like making that
connection,
but
that
sometimes
association.
I feel that way. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you have to.
And you said that every 5 years, I think, that your kind of what you do changes and evolves a lot. So now that's what it looks and feels like. We'll have to go back in a minute to what it looked and felt like 5 years ago, because I'd be really curious, or even probably sooner than that, but
for sure.
What that looked and felt like and how that evolved to like getting to the point where you can do what you're able to do today. Obviously it sounds great, right? He's phenomenal. Josh, you're phenomenal at saying it. But like getting systems and processes in place, right? And SOPs and hiring the right people and like
infrastructure.
Everything.
It's
like
it's not easy, man.
None of that is easy on any level, right?
Handbook, blueprint, none of that.
We've struggled a lot with that. Even just right people. I mean, we've gone hundreds and hundreds of employees and people have come in and out of our life, and I still don't know that I know exactly what I'm doing. I mean, just like you kind of said, I have no idea, right? Like
which is cool. It makes me feel better.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
Sorry, Zaback.
No,
I'm curious on what, so snow, right? I want to really dive into snow teeth whitening. Obviously, we had Anthony talk about the financial services, and then obviously, you're in multiple different industries, I would imagine, at this current point, right? Running multiple different businesses, different, obviously you're parking your money in different avenues that are going to give you some sort of return on investment. But I think a lot of people that obviously wanted Josh Snow to come onto the show is just for, really to dive into snow, right? And then obviously, we're gonna stay with business right now, and then we'll kind of get into the personal life as well. But I'm curious, what does snow look like just like right now?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
employees,
facilities, I'm trying to wrap my brain around. You posted a thing on Instagram the other day, like 2.4 million or something like that. Customers went to the website or something like that.
I saw the Google trend, right? Where you were showing that you were actually ahead of, I think it was like Colgate or
everybody.
Okay.
Everybody.
Yeah.
So I can't even imagine what that infrastructure ultimately looks like.
I mean, it's a lot more simple than you think.
For sure.
I think that, we're like the Spartan Army. It's it's a Spartanic effort of having the right people in the right position with the right teammates and the right resources. So essentially, if you give a pretty good soldier machine gun, and you give a great soldier a bow and arrow, that's kind of the analogy there. Now, if you give an extraordinary soldier an extraordinary weapon, and a vantage point, it's done. Right. So it's very important for me as the leader to think through what is that vantage point and why. What is our target? That's very important, because being the best at shooting tomatoes doesn't get you anywhere.
For sure. Mm-hmm.
So what is a target? When are we going after that target? Who is in charge of going after that target?
For sure.
Who is in place for that? And understanding all that. So there's a lot of strategy behind it. And so people look at me and they go, oh my gosh, this guy must be selling a lot of products. We're the number one oral care brand online by multiple metrics, whether it's social media followers, website traffic, you name it.
Anything.
And we still only have a few products, and that's because we say no to 99.9% of stuff.
For sure.
We're building a brand here, but also since day one, I paid myself $60,000 a year.
Yeah.
That's it. Yep. That's all I've ever made from snow.
Yeah.
$60,000 a year. After taxes, it's about like 38, 39, something like that. That's it.
Yep.
So, you see the Ferrari, you see this, well, that's because I did that deliberately. I did that because I wanted everyone who I was recruiting to understand that I was at a point in my life where I was no longer seeking self-enrichment.
For sure.
I was seeking to prove something to the world.
Right. Yeah.
And I wanted a team that also wanted to prove something alongside with me.
For sure.
And so then at that point,
that's powerful.
It's you attract a much higher caliber of team member. And for me, I realized I'm like, okay, and I always make this analogy, but it's important because, and I can say it 100 different ways, but I got really good at hunting the rabbits and I wanted to hunt the elephants.
For sure.
And so hunting rabbits, I got really good at $0 to $10 million businesses, and I could run them as a lifestyle, etc. I could even sell those businesses. And then I was like, you know what? I want to go after a big challenge. And when you're hunting a rabbit, you don't need anything more. You could use that bow and arrow.
Yeah.
You could run around with a knife.
Yeah.
I mean, you could strangle the thing. And I hope there's no one out there are thinking that I'm actually meaning this in any way.
He's not literally doing that.
Oh, yeah, I'm not literally doing that. I love animals. I got a little dog. But anyway, the elephants scenario is that you need a team in order to do that. You can't hunt an elephant on your own.
Yeah.
But if you do, you could feed a village, you could feed yourself for a very long time.
Yep.
And it takes strategy, it takes collaboration, coordination. So for me, it was like, okay, what is the Olympics business? It's building a brand over a long period of time, building a great business. In order to do that, you need really good people.
Yep.
And so how do you recruit really good people? And I said, well, shit, I'm young, so it's very hard in some aspects to attract that high caliber talent when you are younger because there's a lot of risk.
For sure.
It is what it is.
Yep.
So
for the older,
people that are more experienced, even younger people, they say, you know what? I in my last job, I made my boss rich. He didn't give me anything.
For sure.
I don't want to do it again.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, from day one, I'm going to pay myself $60,000 a year. That's it. Everything else, like I've got other businesses, I've got other investments, that'll fund my lifestyle. Yeah. Snow was very deliberate. I said, I'm going to be very transparent with the world and showing what we're doing. So the infrastructure is we've got 20, 25 of us.
Yeah.
That's it. We're in the multiple millions per employee on a revenue basis. We have huge potential in front of us, but it's the quality of team member we have. Yeah. It's the strategy in place. And so it's a lot easier to roll down a boulder from a hill than to roll it up. Yeah. And so it looks like a champion effort when in reality, it was all about the strategy. So we make big moves by hitting the right places. Yeah. And I think that's very important. And so we don't strike first, we think first. Yeah. And then we strike second. And so by thinking through every move we make, it's very strategic. Where are we placing our press? Where are we placing our products? So that from the outside, it looks like we're a multi-billion-dollar organization. It looks like we have thousands of employees. Yeah. That's all on purpose, right? Everything there is on purpose. And so we deliberately kind of lay those kind of that story out. Sure. And but at the same time, we build a moat around our business. As we're going, we're building. For sure. And you'll see all of a sudden, you'll see a wave from us. Right. And that's from The Art of War, Sun Tzu, and it talks about the way it's called blitzkrieg. Blitzkrieg is a German form of militaristic effort of just bombarding someone. Okay. In the middle of the night, just, and they have no choice. And you just go. And Sun Tzu says, when your enemy's on their knees, you hit them even harder. Yeah. Now this is like rough business talk. This is not how I built my business, but if you take that kind of, and you distill it down to how you apply it in your day to day, that philosophy, and you apply it to your business strategy. For us, it's like, okay, we're going to line everything up. For sure. And it's going to be very, very strategic, where it's celebrity after celebrity after celebrity after celebrity after celebrity after celebrity. And you go, I have to buy.
Yeah,
Just,
exactly. You have no choice.
It makes you crazy.
For sure.
Right.
And so that strategy is so important.
For sure.
And we try to train our market in that way. And then ultimately you have to have a phenomenal product, phenomenal service, and a phenomenal team. If you don't have those three things, no matter how great your marketing is, your sales efforts are, you'll make a few $1,000,000, but you won't go much further than that.
For sure.
It's
That's phenomenal.
Fascinating, dude. Fascinating. Austin and I actually always talk about it. We're like, dude, he has murdered branding and marketing.
Yep.
So I got a question really quick because I was deep here in my thoughts here. I don't know if it's the scotch or if it's just snow dropping the bombs here, but
a little bit of both.
You catch up with you guys.
For sure.
For sure.
So, enjoy yourself, my friend.
Yeah. That's what we have it there for.
Mikasa Sukasa. That's how it's here for.
I'll need another glass here in a minute. Depending on
that's
how,
right. So for sure, I retain it better. Is what I like to say. You know what I'm saying? So I'm curious, Josh, and I don't know if this is what I was understanding here and taking in is you're building a multi-billion-dollar company, right? That looks like a multi-billion-dollar company that has an infrastructure of a multi-billion-dollar company, but really just the right individuals. So I guess my question here is, I saw you posted something on Instagram. I don't know when this was. It was 4 or 5 months ago. It was your new facility, right? This warehouse was bigger than any neighborhood I've seen in Scottsdale, sunny Scottsdale, right? Do you need that? Or do you just do that for the credibility? Do you do that for the visualization of that's what? Because again, I'm overcomplicating everything, right? And I think a lot of people listening too are overcomplicating. Seeing 2.4 million visitors and number one oral care. Dude, you need to buy a farm and put up a warehouse, and you need to have all this product in there, and you need to have 700,000 employees. That's how it probably looks, right? So do you like those warehouses that you have, right?
Right.
Is it full? Do you utilize that, or what's the purpose of it? Really,
we're almost always sold out.
Okay.
So there's honestly, we could run the entire business from this size of a room.
For sure.
Right. So we could do $300-400 million from 300 square feet.
Yeah.
If we're turning over inventory that quickly, we get off the truck and put it on the USPS and FedEx truck. We're just flipping stuff so quickly. Yeah. But, one thing that I learned about myself, and I used to feel bad about it, but when I started to make some money, I started at 13, 14 years old, but I remember when I started to make some money, I went out and bought a car I couldn't afford.
Yeah.
I went out and bought a watch I couldn't afford.
Yeah.
I went out and did things that I couldn't afford. And as I got older, now I try to manage that. I try to maintain it because you can get into some serious trouble.
Yeah.
There's scale factor. But, I remember even like renting a place that was like $4 or $5 grand a month. And I was like, I really should not be doing this.
For sure.
Yeah.
But when you're a hustler in terms of, and I mean hustler in the most endearing way, that you're willing to work and outwork anybody, you're willing to do the right thing, you're willing to be ethical, etc. But if you're willing to work, for me, that pressure, although it's dangerous, it's like gambling.
Yeah.
That pressure pushed me to become someone who could afford $5,000 a month rent.
For sure.
Going and getting that, I remember looking up, what was that?
Pressure makes diamonds.
Yeah. I mean,
say.
and it's something
put your back
that,
up against a wall, you work like you've never worked before.
And I realized like when you don't have a lot of money, you want people to think you have a lot of money. When you have a lot of money, you want people to think you have no money.
Yeah.
And I'm from nothing, right? So like hood rich, broke, etc. And so for me, I remember going out and buying those things, and I would come home and be like, I should not have done that. I remember going to, I remember I got approved.
What do they call that? Remorse?
Buyer's remorse.
Buyer's remorse.
Yeah.
Oh, the worst at it. I remember when I got my first Amex, I was literally like 18 years old, my 18th birthday. And I think it was like a $2,500 or $3,000 credit on my card.
Yeah.
I literally went straight to like Gucci, Louis Vuitton.
Yeah.
I went over my limit. They let me go over $1,000 on my limit for some reason.
Yeah.
Swiped it. I felt so like rich. And
You're
and I went back and I was like, what did I just do?
Right.
And I was like, and I started to play through my head. I was like, okay, maybe I could have my friend go in and return it. And like, I was literally going to this whole thing. And but I feel like everyone goes through their own strategy. Like they always ask me, why'd you get started in business? The truth is I wanted to make money.
Yeah.
Right.
For sure.
I was broke. I wanted to help my mom out. I seen my mom like struggling.
Yeah.
We had cars without AC.
Yeah.
I wanted millions.
Yeah, for sure.
And I wanted to give it to my family. And I want to make sure I never had to struggle. And I was willing to do anything just so that my mom wouldn't have to struggle anymore.
And there's nothing wrong with that, right? Yeah. And I think a lot of people don't own this stuff. You know what I mean? They want to make money. They want. For me, I wanted nice cars, dude. I'm not gonna. But since I was 7 years old. I had I think it was a Murcielago because Gallardos weren't a thing yet. So it must have been a Murcielago poster on my wall. Yeah. And then it was a Gallardo, and then eventually it was the Huracan, right? Yeah. And that's all I loved cars. I wanted an exotic car. You know, I didn't know any better. I loved also what you said. It's actually really interesting. I think I've ever heard anybody, Austin, you're probably thinking this the entire time. You probably look around this office right now, Josh, it's a little empty still, right? We moved in here and we were like, dude, we right place, right time. It was available. We were right around the corner, literally walked by this every single day. And I had a falling out with an old business partner. Long story short, dude, like the next day we moved in here too early, right? We looked at each other. We knew we'd always done this too for the last 3 or 4 years, right? You know, it was too early, too soon, to this, to that, to the other thing. And we were like, dude, we have to do it though, because if we don't do it, then we're going to outgrow that place too soon. Yeah. We're going to wish we'd have done this. We were just like, we have to do it. Like we just have to be uncomfortable. And we've done that multiple different times now, in multiple different businesses, not at your scale, but we have done that. And I think that's really inspiring actually, even for us. So hopefully it inspires the hell out of people listening because, you know, and a lot of people don't talk about that, right? I don't know if maybe you're just the first person to be honest with us. I don't know.
This is the thing about me. So, you know, I was very fortunate to make a lot of money really young, and I stopped caring about what everyone thought about me. For sure. And so, like in many ways, I'm an old soul on multiple fronts. I'm the youngest in my family, first to do a lot of things, but that for me was very freeing. Yeah. Because I didn't have to please anybody. I didn't have to be a certain way. I just wanted to be myself. And sometimes I like to just wear a $5 t-shirt and drive my, you know, Lamborghini around town or something, right? Other times I want to wear $80,000 of jewelry just to go to Starbucks. Yeah. I'm crazy. That's what I want to do, but it is what it is, right? Yeah. But I think for me that the moral there is that, I finally got to a point, you don't need money to do this, but for me, I was seeking that accomplishment, purpose of like, okay, I'm successful now. Yeah. And I remember when I particularly when I bought my first Bentley, I showed up to, I don't know where it was, hotel or restaurant, and I started to go by sir. Yeah. And here I am in my head about ageism for the longest time where I'm like, you know, everyone treats me like shit. I'm like, you have no idea who I am. Like, I'm going to prove it to you. Yeah. And all of a sudden I started going by sir. But you know what it is you can be too early or you can be too late. Sure. And, you know, for me, it's like, you are who you are becoming. Yeah. And there's a part of manifestation where it's visual boarding and it's hoping and dreaming. Yeah. And there's a part about acting too soon. So it makes you uncomfortable for it to come true. For sure. And a lot of times, see, I put out there 4 years ago, Snow is going to be #1 oil care brand. Yeah. And they said, you can't use the word snow. That's an element of earth. You'll never get it trademarked. Yeah. You'll never make it. Yeah. And is it teeth whitening kits? Like, what is that? You're never going to, Josh, for sure. You're a multimillionaire. You should be doing like big things. Yeah. And I'm like, no, I got an itch. Like I got to do this. Yeah. And I think that's the problem with, not a problem. It is a concern around entrepreneurship because our job is to live in the future. Yeah. We have to. Yeah. We have 100%. Yeah. So we're never happy with the present because it's not moving quickly enough to the future we imagine. Yeah. Yeah. So we live there. So you know, we'll hit, and we turn over $1 million every 48 hours, like clockwork. Yeah. And I'm sitting there and I should be, we're literally sitting at home, I'm naked. Literally, I'm doing a CNN interview, my dick's out, and I got a shirt on. And, you know, I'm like, please, you know, don't stand up. So anyway, I'm sitting there and I should be taking a step back and saying, oh my gosh, well, look at what we've built as a team. Look at what we're doing. Yeah. But in my head, I'm like,
it's not enough.
There's 7 billion people with teeth. We need to get to all of them. And so there's a certain part of like, and I'll do it. I'll go back to where I grew up and I'll go and humble myself and realize like, oh my gosh, like I used to actually worry about what I was going to eat for lunch. Like I remember getting $5 for school that had to last a whole week. Yeah. Right. And I'm like, how's $5 going to last a whole week? Like I have to take I used to take the city bus here in Phoenix. Like I would take the city bus, Valley Metro. Like I knew the bus schedule like the back of my hand. Yeah. So like I sometimes take the step back where I'm like complaining because my Ferrari's too hot. Yeah. The AC sucks. Yeah, for sure. Or I'm like, what the hell, right? Yeah. And that's okay to have complaints too. For sure. Right? It's like I have my problems. Everyone's got their own problems. For sure. My problems might be multi-million-dollar problems, maybe $1 problems. It doesn't matter. Everyone's got their problems. But I think that you can either be too early or you can be too late. Yeah. I think if you're too early, the time will come when you're on time. Yeah. When you're too late, it's too late.
For sure. Yeah. I got a question for you, Josh. You're very just listening to you. You remind me. I look up to you. I don't know if I can speak on your behalf. Sure. I look up to you. A lot of what you're saying, I resonate with 1,000,000%. Like I've been that exact. Like I've actually never interviewed somebody. Not that we haven't actually interviewed a ton of people yet, but I've never interviewed anybody where I resonate as much as I'm resonating with you right now.
Yeah.
You're very methodical is the best word that I can describe it, in your thinking, in your thoughts, in your delivery of your thoughts, in everything that you do is thought out, even if it's on a second by second basis. And I can feel it. I know it. I see it. How did you end up that way? Have you always been that way? Is there a particular genre of book that you got into when you were young? How did you get to this point where you're so methodical in everything that you do? I guess that's kind of a question.
I started hanging out with really old rich people.
Okay.
That's just the truth.
Yeah.
I started donating my time, which is the most expensive resource we have. I started donating my time, started donating some money locally at different Phoenix high schools. And I was sitting on a panel, and a guy by the name of Rick West, who's like one of my best friends now, he comes to me and goes, "Wow, young man, like I really love what you're saying. Like, do you want to go to Vincent's and grab a bite to eat?" And I go, "Oh," in my head, I'm like, I have meetings. Like I'm like, I have client meetings. I'm like, there's no way I can do this. Yeah. But I was like, all right. And then we walk out, and he has a brand new S-Class, really nice. And I'm like 18 years old at the time, and I'm like, oh my gosh. And so we go to Vincent's. He walks in, and they already know him. "Mr. West, please come back here." We go to this limestone private room. I'm like, I didn't even know they had this here. I didn't even know this thing was here. Like I didn't know anything. And I was like, just rich old people just live differently.
Yeah.
Like it's just different. Yeah. They know exactly how they want it before. Actually, they know how they want it before they know how they want it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Sure. And he had his own salad at the place, and I'm just like, I'm all giddy, I'm all excited. Sure. I'm like, oh my gosh. Yeah. And I go, well, and about the time, I had rented the most expensive office space in Arizona. For sure. Mm-hmm. And it was on 39th Street in Camelback, just down the road. And I rented the space, and Vincent's is on 40th Street in Camelback, literally a 5-step walk. So it was serendipitous. We ended up having lunch there, and I go, "Would you like to come see my office?" Yeah. I was like, "It's literally right next door." And in my head, I remember at the time, I'm like, I'm going to bring this guy in because my team's probably pissed that I missed the meetings. Yeah. So I'm going to bring him in. Here's who I was with, his fault. Yeah. And I bring him in, and he's walking around. He's like, "Oh, it's very nice." He's like, "Oh yeah, Paul and so-and-so own this building." And he's like, "Oh, Shamrock's upstairs." He's like, "Oh, I wonder if Ron's still there. I'm going to go see him. He's the CFO. I'm like, I don't know anything. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. And then, we were so proud of this painting that we put up. We spent a lot of money on this painting. We put it up. And he walks up and he goes, "This painting should be about 2 inches higher. He's like, you don't want to put paintings towards the waist level," or he said something like that. And here I'm like, wow. And then I was fascinated by him. Sure. But what I realized about old rich people, for the most part, is they don't give a fuck anymore. Yeah. Like they don't care. Yeah, no. Like my best friend and my partner in our nonprofit foundation, who I owe so much to, Mr. Mort Fleischer, who's 83 years old right now. Yeah. I mean, he'll tell you how it is. Yeah. He says, you're being a little fuckboy piece of shit. Yeah. He'll just tell you. Yeah. Oh, all right. Or like, you're being a cheap ass son of a bitch. Right. Yeah. Right. Hire better lawyers, you cheap ass. It's going to come and get you. Yeah. Don't say I didn't tell you my grave. Like they're and we're riding around his was the Mercedes, the gold wing door, the AMG or whatever. SLM, for sure. He's 83 and he's flooring it. He's going like 85 miles per hour. I'm scared for my life. So I got a lot more to lose. I'm like, "Mr. Mort, I got a lot more to lose. I'm a lot younger than you." And he refuses to let me drive. He thinks I drive like a crazy animal. Yeah. I pull up my GPS and I put it on. He gets so pissed at me. I have the GPS. And I was like, "Wow, I know where I've been driving this city for 60 years. What are you talking about?" So I've learned that from them. They're very methodical. Yeah. And when you listen to their stories, you realize that it's like 20 years. He literally started off doing custom suits. Yeah. And him and his cousin had a custom suit shop in Phoenix. He moved from St. Louis. There was nothing here. Yeah. And there's guys kept coming back in over and over again, buying more and more suits. And he goes, "What the fuck they do?" He had his drug dealer clients, which he knew what they did. Of course. And then he had his other clients. He goes, he goes, "Sir, may I ask you, what do you do for a living? Like, you're in here all the time. Like, what are you doing?" Yeah. And he goes, "Well, I'm a life insurance salesman." And that weekend, he left his cousin. He's like, "Yo, keep the business. I got to go do that because those guys are making bank." Yeah. This is where life insurance was first introduced. Yeah, for sure. Right. So he went and started selling. Right place, right time. Timing's everything. And so he went and started selling life insurance. Long story short, he's now had 3 public companies, etc. But to answer your question on how I started thinking methodically is, I like to read books about people who are dead. I like to listen to things from people who are dead. And that sounds morbid, but in reality, I listen to living stuff too. But I like to see the encapsulation of someone's life. I like to see Steve Jobs. He's now passed.
Yeah.
Let me see everything. A lot of times the truth comes out after they die, like certain truths.
Yeah.
I like to see that. You realize that things take a lot longer than you want them to.
For sure.
And after a while, you realize you've got this kind of peaceful nature about you of like, things are going to take a lot longer.
Yeah.
So it's like, hurry up and wait, hurry up and wait, hurry up and wait.
Yeah.
It's going to happen as long as your moral compass is in the right place.
Yeah.
As long as you're working as hard as you can and you're prepared to strike on any opportunities that come about and give it your all. And as long as you do that, and you do it over a long period of time. Mort is 83 years old. I'm 27.
Yeah.
So he's got about 60 years on top of me.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think he's more alert, more alive than I am. Yeah. So I'm like, if I'm blessed to have a life like that, I've got 60 years to figure this out. Yeah. When you think about that, you're like, all right, like I'm gonna let things pass. It's not that bad. I'm gonna let this dude slide. You know what I'm saying? So it changes the way you think about life.
For sure. Gosh, that's crazy, man.
Dude, I'm getting like
oh, goodness.
This is good stuff.
I'm fired up.
Yeah, for sure. I might need another. I've only had one though.
Yeah, that's right.
I need like just give me a little pour there.
I'm slacking.
Yeah,
I'm slacking.
You're actually you're that's your responsibility with just your chair situation.
I'm not sure how I feel about it. I'll be honest with you.
So,
I'm not
dude,
that great of a bartender.
Yeah, that was kind of shaky pour.
Yeah. Right out of the decanter.
That was the Austin hasn't eaten yet.
Yeah, exactly. No, dude, I'm getting a ton of value. I know our listeners are. I know our viewers are. I just want to dive into it a little bit more.
For sure.
What
made you want to start Snow?
Yeah.
So I was having jaw surgery at the time.
Okay.
I'd struggled with an underbite like most of my life. I had really bad jaw pain. I've been in braces multiple times, and I'm so like lazy. I never use my retainers, so every time I'd mess up, I had to keep going back. And then finally I realized I was like, you know what? I'm ready for this jaw surgery. I'm going to do it. And it's not a simple surgery, right? It's like it was 7.5 hours. Took my jaw out of my head, put it back in my head. But I was having debilitating jaw pain. I would speak for 1 hour in the day, and I would have these horrible headaches. And I'm like, okay, I can't live my life like this. I need to do this. So I ended up having jaw surgery. And at the time, 2 of my best friends were creating a company called Tuft & Needle, mattress company.
For sure.
And they were the first bed-in-a-box mattress company before Casper. And they built that business up to, I think last year, $250 million. They bootstrapped it, et cetera. So I was thinking through my head, I'm like, okay, what's going to be my kind of mattress? And I think when we're young, and I'm going to generalize, but as young men and women, I think a lot of times we're comparing ourselves, and social media has created a landscape for comparison. Sure. And there's a lot of comparison happening. And so you see someone's life and you go, well, Austin's got a Lamborghini and I don't have one. Yeah. And he's younger than me. Something's wrong with me.
For sure.
And so what happens is that the Instagram algorithm feeds upon that insecure nature because it keeps you checking.
100%.
And so there's a profiting on the insecurities of America. And there's a lot of books to read about it. Nir Eyal has some amazing books on it, Contagious, etc., Hooked. Anyway, these companies have figured out how to get us hooked and make billions off of it. But for me, I was thinking through, okay, the selfie has become really important. A smile is something that you notice on people. It's something that's there. It takes a lot of space of the face. Yeah. I'm having jaw surgery. And I looked at the products down the oral care aisle, and I go, they're so uninspired. It's blue and red, holographic. It reminded me of Pokemon cards. I'm like, there's Charizard and there's Bulbasaur.
Yeah,
and like, Squirtle. Yeah. And so I was like, Pikachu. Yeah. I'm like, yeah, literally. It's like, what the hell?
Yeah, what?
There's got to be something more here. Yeah. And so turns out a lot of people have teeth. Yeah. So I'm like, okay, if I get this even halfway right, I'm going to have a very large business.
Sure.
But the truth of it was that I was going through my own depression and delayed burnout. Yeah. So I had been working since 13 years old to 21 years old, pretty much nonstop. I was going to school. I graduated from Arizona State University. The honors cards I did in 2 years, 22 credits a semester. So you can imagine I was doing a lot at once for a long time.
For a long time.
And then I sold that company. And so then, I went on about the Lamborghini, I went on about the Ferrari, and then I'm like, all right, I made it. And then after 6 months of just like having fun, I realized that I lacked a purpose.
For sure.
And I realized that it wasn't just like pursuit to a certain place. It's that the pursuit itself was my happiness.
Yeah.
And so I needed to be pursuing in order to be happy. I needed a vehicle of purpose. I needed, as an entrepreneur, as a creator, I needed to keep painting.
For sure.
After creating the Mona Lisa, it doesn't mean that the painter is done painting.
Yeah.
And there's a little bit of this expectation that the next piece you create has to be better than the Mona Lisa.
Yeah.
And there's this halo effect that causes this undue pressure. And so for me, I laid in bed. I became addicted to Adderall.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like really, I could not get out of bed. I didn't even have a prescription for Adderall at the time.
Yeah.
So I became illegally addicted to Adderall. I couldn't get out of bed at all. Sometimes I felt like I couldn't breathe without having some type of stimulant in my body.
Yeah.
It's because I lacked purpose.
For sure.
I lacked that mission. And so I had to find the most difficult, I literally had to find the most difficult challenge for me. And when I had my jaw wired shut for 2 weeks, it gave me an opportunity to really kind of reset my body, reset a lot of things. I lost 20 pounds like 2 weeks. I really had to think through a lot of things. And I said, you know what? I did research on the oral care market. I said, this is literally the hardest market to get into. It's the hardest market to make a brand in.
Yeah, yeah.
My chances of succeeding are like 1 out of 100. And that's like me with everything that I have. And I said, that's what I need.
Yeah.
I honestly needed the most difficult thing I could find. And it happened to be oral care. And I said, you know what? Even if I get this halfway right over a 50-year period, I said, I have 50 years to figure this out.
Yeah.
That was something that I needed because I felt like I was going to careen into depression and just not be able to do anything if I didn't have a strong enough challenge.
Right.
Sure.
And that's, in many ways, even if Snow made me $0, it never became a bigger success than it already is.
Yeah.
For me, it's giving me back my life. It's giving me back a purpose. And I think that's huge, right? Because it's more than just trying to make some money this time.
Yeah.
It's given me purpose, and in many ways, it's saved my life.
I love it.
I like that.
Like this is gold, man. Like,
while it's on the top of my head, sorry to cut you off, Zaback.
No,
I really got to think about this. I do want to dive into this because honestly, viewers and listeners, this is more for Austin Lewis and Austin Zaback than it is for you guys at this current point. But this question particularly is, you said you kept wanting to be the Leonardo da Vinci, right? You kept wanting to paint more, right? In our lives, in my life specifically, and I can speak on behalf of Zaback because we're real here, we always want more, and nothing is essentially good enough, right? I mean, it's good, don't get me wrong. Like when you sit back or when you go to your old house or when you take a bus downtown Phoenix, like, yeah, it's good, right? Sure. But how often do you do that? But besides that point, what are your thoughts on that? Like, what are your actual thoughts on just wanting more, wanting to be more? You have this girlfriend. It's not good enough because you need the next, because you know that there's this, you make $1 million, but $1 million isn't good enough because you can get 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 10. You drive this car, but that car is going to be faster. What are your thoughts on that?
Like, how'd you become okay with it? At what point? Because a lot of people aren't okay with that, right? Like, how did you just accept that, and then what does that look like now?
A big part of it's something that I'm still accepting.
For sure.
Like, it's not something that I've fully come to terms with, but in many ways, like, you have to find a point of reflection where you're okay with where you're at. The issue is, the fundamental issue is that we constantly live in the future.
Yeah.
And because we're optimists, we have to be. Yeah. The future is always better than the present.
Sure.
Yeah.
And so there's this dopamine release that when we're working on the future, we have this dopamine, we're so excited about what's ahead.
Yeah.
And it started when I was 14 years old, algebra class freshman year.
Yeah.
I was making whatever per day, and I wrote down if I sold 10 per day, if I sold 100 per day.
Yeah.
And I go on eBay classifieds, and I type in Lamborghini, and I find one for 99,000. And I go to payment calculator. I look up the payment calculator,
for sure.
and I'm like, it has never stopped since then. And so the constant pursuit of more, but what I found for me is that everything will happen when it's going to happen.
Yeah.
There's never going to be a perfect time for perfection.
Yeah.
Perfection is a part of life in the sense that your pursuit is your perfection.
Yeah.
Your personal development and growing every day is your perfection.
Yeah.
Right.
Perfection is not a point, it's a process.
Yeah.
And so if you stop looking for the point, you'll find the point is to enjoy the process. And for me, it's like enjoying those things, and I'm not perfect at it.
Yeah.
There are days where I'm just like, I'm so pissed off.
Yeah,
Right.
for sure.
And I've got my girlfriend Charlie here, and so she can be a testament to the fact of, like, there are days where everything should be okay.
Sure.
Everything should be amazing.
Yeah.
I made $1 million in 24 hours.
Yeah.
You should be jumping for joy.
Yeah.
But for some reason, I'm just not happy.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel real, or it doesn't feel good enough.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of it is that I've been chasing this imposter syndrome.
Boom. You took that right out.
I think that, feeling that the imposter syndrome of feeling like, am I good enough to do this?
Yeah.
Am I deserving of this?
Yeah.
Like, and there's this like constant feeling of like, even though I've built so many companies, I've sold so many companies, the money in my bank account is old by this point, right?
Yeah.
It's like, it's expired, right? It's like, I got to get rid of it.
I like that,
sure.
baby. The money is account's old.
You know what Mort told me? This is a quick story. So
Yeah.
I fly to St. Louis with Mort, and and he goes, the ink on the money is so dry.
Yeah.
You can light it on fire from a mile away. And he was talking about the Federal Reserve being in St. Louis, et cetera.
Yeah.
And there's this whole concept of the money being old. Arizona is amazing because you think about the West, and people move to the West for the gold rush.
Yeah.
And they ended up settling. And so there's this inspiration and hope, this aspirational hope here.
Yeah.
Where in New York City, a lot of times, for example, Mort, I'll bring it up again.
Yeah.
He was working on Wall Street. He's Jewish, and they had Jewish banks, and then they had regular banks. Like, Mort, you can't work here. You got to go work at a Jewish bank. But in the West, anything is possible. But I want to bring it back to this imposter syndrome because a lot of people struggle with it. I struggle with it all the time. It never goes away.
Yeah.
No matter how much money I make, no matter how much success I have, every day I feel like, there are parts of me that feel like I'm a fraud.
Mm-hmm.
And there are parts of me that feel like what I'm doing is maybe not good enough, or people are talking shit about me, or, am I actually like selling a really good product?
Yeah.
But I got to tell you, that over time, I've been dealing with that for 14 years now as an entrepreneur. That over time creates, if you manage it, it creates the best entrepreneurs because you think about the quality of your product.
For sure.
You think about the quality of your service. You think about how you're treating your team. You think about how you're treating the people around you because you are so fearful of that imposter syndrome becoming a reality. And one day you are a fraud and you look in the mirror, you can't even see yourself anymore. And I think that fear causes you to create amazing work. And what I would tell myself 14 years ago is that just wait. It's going to come. Just focus on what your work and what you're doing. Don't try to, even, I bet you even Mona Lisa was like, I don't know if this is just a bunch of, blurbs on a canvas. So I think imposter syndrome is something that's rarely talked about. I think the psychology of entrepreneurs is rarely talked about. And I feel like it's understated because of social media doesn't help because we're only highlighting the highlights.
For sure.
And it's 100%. Not the low lights. And even for me, no matter, sitting in my Ferrari, I remember they used to say, oh, I'd rather cry in my Ferrari than blah, blah, blah. And it's like, I'd rather not cry at all.
For sure.
For sure.
And I feel like that's not talked about enough. And no matter, just because you have money, you have success, doesn't mean that internally you feel fulfilled.
For sure.
And so finding other outlets for fulfillment, I think are very important as an entrepreneur, whether it's nonprofits, whether it's working out, whether other areas of fulfillment are so important. Because the goal you're working on, you will never be happy with what you have because you know what you could have.
For sure. 100%.
Unbelievable. Like, I feel like, you know what I mean? This is one of those, this is the episode so far, actually. And I don't really ever say that, but this is a phenomenal episode. I feel like if you don't think the thoughts that you're talking about, you're not a true entrepreneur. And that doesn't, it's not a bad thing, right? It's not a bad thing. For sure. Because you don't need to be an entrepreneur, right? You know, there's a lot of amazing people out there that are not entrepreneurs, that are the CFO of a company or the COO or whatever, right? But if you are like, if you feel the imposter syndrome, if you feel like it's never good enough, if you feel, these are things that are you're describing. It's kind of weird when somebody else actually describes your reality. It's kind of an odd thing in general, but because you're describing my life right now. You know what I mean? And you're 2 years older than me, right? Potentially a little bit. I just turned 25. He just turned 25 in May. And so it's interesting to it's a lot of perspective, right? Lewis, I can probably speak on your behalf, that, and a lot of the viewers, hopefully, that and listeners that like it's just, and we feel this way every day, right? Here we are. We've done nothing on your level, but we've started 9 companies. We haven't sold any of them or anything like that, but we own 2 real estate companies. Our goal is to do 1,200 deals a year, right? $500 million in a year. and we had a marketing agency that had 4,000 people paying us a couple $100 a month on average, so we've done some stuff, and we've never felt like honest and truly,
For sure.
and you mentioned these things of going in and out of depression and stuff, and we've been like, I say we because we have this very interest why the A&A show even exists to begin with, but we've spent the last 5 years essentially living together and building like 7 companies together, full time. Like we're essentially in, it's like this very odd thing, but it works out perfectly. And all the things you described, we've been there. And we still are to this day, right?
Sure.
We're like, we'll drink a bottle of scotch, for example, and it's like, no, we shouldn't, we should go to AA. Like that's obviously
right.
But it's like, it's just we're never good enough. It's never good enough, right? Like like that was the wrong thing to do, or we need to do this, or we should have done that, So it's really interesting.
Yeah. Well, I think that's why you work so well together, right? I mean, you met my business partner Anthony on our financial
stud, by the way.
He's my best friend. He's amazing, and I think that we work so well together because in our own way we are so much alike, but yet so much different in certain areas, right? Pronounced differences. Yeah. But we are both trying to prove something not only to ourselves, but prove something to the greater good about our purpose, and our self-worth. And I think that's really exciting because together you can accomplish so much. And business partnerships are like marriages, right? The only difference is you don't fuck, I guess you could. Well, but like
we try. We tend
I'm
to
not
stray
making
away
any
from
implications
that. For us personally. But hey, if you're watching, do what you want to do.
Do what you want to do. But look, and this is the thing is you spend a lot of time, and I think that even for my girlfriend, like I think that. I've been very upfront about the fact that business is very important to me. And the reason when I say, I changed a little bit how I think about it. I used to say business comes first for me. And then a girlfriend comes next, or like family comes. In reality, it's I come first.
For sure.
Sure.
And, and I think that the reason why I've rephrased that is because if I am not, I'll break this down. This is my theory on happiness, particularly for men, and I think it applies to women as well, but particularly for men, midlife crisis, etc. Your happiness is defined by where you're at, where you think you should be at, and the velocity at which you're making it to that point. And so what happens a lot of times is people will get to their 40s, 45, 50 years old and say, oh my gosh, I'm here. I thought I was going to be here, and I feel like I'm not getting there fast enough. So I need to divorce. I need to forget about my kids. I need to go and live my own life because I feel like I'm not going to get a chance to.
For sure.
And, I feel like that's very important to talk about because the stuff I talk about is I got to a certain point in my life where I said, you know what? I could go on a podcast and talk about how successful and blah, 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 and all the celebrities I hang out with and all the money I make. But I was like, you know what? Like, what would I want to hear?
For sure.
Right.
I'd want to hear somebody in a similar situation about the loneliness of entrepreneurship, about those deep, dark feelings. And even just like in a relationship, even in my business partnership, I feel like, am I doing enough? Does Anthony think of me the way I think of him?
Yeah.
Like, am I deserving of my X% of the business?
Yeah.
Is he going to leave me for something better?
Yeah.
Am I going to leave him? If I work on something outside of our relationship, is he going to be jealous?
Yeah.
There are so many comparisons to a actual, romantic relationship that a lot of people talk about. And so for me, I've decided I want to be the elephant hunter in the sense of the awkward elephant in the room.
Yeah.
I want to hunt it. And so I became my own elephant hunter. And they know now people bring me into deals because they go, Josh's mind is like something else. And like, we just sit over there, like we'll give you some tequila and just don't say anything. And let me see what you think after this. And so people will bring me in and they go, Josh will just tell it how it is.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of it comes from how I grew up. So I grew up in a really rough neighborhood.
Yeah.
And it's like you're constantly on edge. You're constantly looking around.
Yeah.
And if you don't see something for how you think it is and react accordingly on the spot, you can't just fluff around. And so for me, I try to tell things how it is. Like, in reality, 90% of the week, I feel great. I'm happy. I'm living it.
Yeah.
But that 10%, can sometimes feel like the 90%.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's certain times, and I feel like I can't complain anymore.
For sure.
I'm not on a public forum. I can't go
right.
on.
What are you going to do?
What am I going to do? I said, oh, I'm so, I feel like so unsuccessful. They go, oh, shut up, Josh. Like, you have all these things. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Or I go, I feel like I'm not going to make it. Everyone goes, of course you're going to make it. And I think that it's perpetuated in many ways, which I'm so grateful for. The positive comments that come through social media for me. I listened to this podcast. It changed my life, Josh. Did this. But it also, in a certain way, perpetuates that kind of position where I can't say something bad.
For sure.
You can't complain, right?
I can't complain.
You got to be perfect.
I can't complain to my team.
Yeah.
Because then what if they think that I'm not a good leader? What if they think that they're going to lose their job? What if they think we're going to fail?
Yeah.
So I can't come in and say, hey, guys, I don't know if we're going to succeed for another 6 months.
Yeah.
How kind of a leader am I?
Yeah, for sure.
You know?
Yeah.
So I think that I have to shelter those feelings so deep inside that having a partnership at least, that's why in any way, shape, or form, whether you have a life partner, whether you have a business partner, having someone to share in not only the upside, but also the downside allows you to say, yo, what the fuck are we going to do here?
Yeah, for sure.
And that at least provides some venue to be able to shout out to.
And I love what you're talking about.
100%.
I really, really hope, I just hope this episode gets like a million views, but, like you're good. To what you were saying, like what you're good, 90% of the time you're just positive, just freaking, cause that's an entrepreneur, right?
Yeah.
And then 10%, or maybe even it's like 1%, but like every now and then you almost, it's not a conscious thought, but like subconsciously you almost want to just be negative for a minute. And because you want, and like if you were to share that with anybody other than maybe like you said, like your very close circle, they're almost going to reinforce you with positivity, and you almost don't even want that in that moment. You're like, fuck that. I want to be negative.
Yeah.
Just give me a minute to be negative. Like I'm this positive. I inspire everybody. I'm this positive, and like, and it just sounds kind of like, I guess if you don't understand it, maybe it doesn't hit home. But if you do understand it, I think it'll hit home perfectly.
For sure.
Because I know I feel that way at times, right? 100%. Where it's like, and that's part of the reason why you don't feel like you can tell anybody other than just like this little bitty, because I go to my grandpa, right? He's a great guy, I love the guy, but he's like, Austin, what are you talking about? You're so successful, and it's like, motherfucker, I'm like, you know what I mean? Right. I love you, but it's not what I want to hear right now, right?
No, yeah, for sure.
Like, because he doesn't see the right here versus right here, right? That's only I only see. So to him, I'm actually, it's the other way around.
Yeah.
To him, I'm actually ahead of where I should be.
Yeah.
He's like, no, wait a minute, you're only and it doesn't make any sense.
Well, it's because it's in your head, right? And so like certain times it'll come out, and so there are certain days that only my girlfriend will see what's really behind the scenes, right? And you have to go on and put on a show
for sure,
right? It's like I remember going and seeing, I think it was David Blaine, and I go and see the show, and I go, here is the top paid magician and whatever, amazing. And I literally got literally right up front. It was me and Anthony. We sat right up front, and we had to leave halfway through the show because we sensed this, like he was so like over, like you know what it was, is that we saw ourselves in many ways in this man. Yeah. And the fact that he was the highest paid magician in the world, here he is worth $100 million. Everyone came out to see him. We came out to see him. We paid $350 each to see this man. Yeah. And to see that he was not. And again, I don't know him.
Yeah, sure.
Maybe I just saw a mirror.
For sure.
And we both felt this kind of like, I feel bad for this guy.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
And so, but he's got a production team 100%. That he's paying for. And if you look at, read Vinci's, or listen to Vinci's documentary, watch Lil Peep's documentary. They're all on Netflix. Yeah. And you'll see that what happens is what you create becomes a living for other people. Yeah. And you can no longer kill what you've created.
Yep.
And sometimes you've created a monster inside of your own head. Yeah. And you can't kill that monster without killing other people. At least that's what it feels like.
Yeah.
Sure.
And so what I've learned is in this day and age, it's okay to stop doing whatever you want to stop doing.
For sure.
At the end of the day, your mental health comes first. You feeling like you are enough and that you will be enough is enough. Yeah. And that if you don't have those people in your circle, go to websites like Talkspace, BetterHelp.com, and pay the money for $100 to talk to just someone randomly. Right. And be like, hey, I feel like I'm trying all these things and I'm just not successful, and I'm feeling desperate, and I feel like I'm never going to be successful. Yeah. put that out there. And believe it or not, and that's the thing, this is what happens. This is why I like to study people who are dead. I'll bring it back to that point.
For sure.
Because when you watch the Warren Buffett documentary, you see a grandpa who eats English McMuffins from, McDonald's and eats his candy and his Diet Coke, and he lives in the same house with the same Cadillac. Yeah. And you go, oh my gosh, like look at this grandpa. Well, in reality, if you're the richest guy in the world, you want to pretend that you have no money.
Sure.
Remember that?
Yeah.
So, Bill Gates and Mark Zuckerberg, they wear the same clothes, and they even put out articles saying he wears the same clothes every day. So you're like, oh, he's so nice. You don't want to attack him.
Right.
Because back then, Louis XIII was beheaded, guillotined,
for sure,
because he starved his people and showed off his opulence by creating Versailles, the Palace of Versailles. Yeah. He was killed. So rich people now know that you got to be very careful. Yeah. So the extremely wealthy, you don't know much about anymore. Yeah. Because they're hidden. The Mars family that owns Snickers and everything, M&Ms. And so for me, thinking through that, I said, okay, I need to be vocal. I need to be one of the voices who share about the mental health of successful. Even if I'm not going to, like I said, most of the time I'm happy. Most of the time I'm optimistic. I'm killing it. But there are certain times where I go behind the scenes. You watch Amy Winehouse. I think in my opinion, celebrities in the sense of musicians have the most connections to those feelings we feel as entrepreneurs, where you've got to go on stage, you've got to put on the show. Yeah. And they go, come on, Amy, look how many people are here to see you. They're all here to see you. And it's like, Valerie, she goes out and sings. But she goes behind the scenes and she's drugged. Yeah. Yep. And many times they're drugging her in order to keep her complacent. Yeah. So that they all can make their millions of dollars off of her deals. For sure. And in a lot of ways, maybe it's not to that extreme nature, but in a lot of ways an entrepreneur can feel that way that, I've got to do all these things. I've got to be this certain person because that's what I've put out there. Yeah. And in many ways, we've created our own cage with social media. For sure. Yeah. Because now I know, look, I'll tell you the truth. I know, and we talk about it. I talk about it with my girlfriend, Charlie, and, we're like, okay, let's go live in just a basic neighborhood where, we can just be ourselves and be whatever it is. But then if Josh Snow, multimillionaire Josh Snow, lives in a basic neighborhood, they're going to say, what's going on, Austin? You're not making money anymore? You're driving a Camry. What's going on? You're driving a Civic. You can't go back now. Which in some ways, on the day-to-day, that's good because it keeps pushing you forward. Sure. But sometimes when you want to go eat at Jack in the Box and go sit there, all of a sudden you feel like you're a failure for doing something that you want to do. And, and I got to a certain point where I said, you know what, I just give up. I give up on trying to please people. Yeah. I want to please myself and the people that are around me. Yeah. When you start prioritizing yourself and over what people think of you, you'll start winning overnight.
I love it.
I love that.
I want to, really quick. Sorry.
I like this.
We're both. we won't keep you forever, Josh. I would love to, by the way. Charlie wouldn't. She wouldn't be too fired up about it. Yeah. I would. And I know Charlie's in the room. For those of you guys listening, watching, Josh mentioned. But like, what does your relationship with your girlfriend look like, Charlie? And how involved is she? Like, what does it look like? I guess, right? What do you guys talk about? Is she involved in the business at all on any level, or do you just maybe talk to her? Do you vent? Like, what? So many people struggle, right? And we've heard a million times. You've heard people don't have business problems; they have personal problems they bring to their business. Mm-hmm. So, what does that look like for you?
Yeah. So, I think that the most important person is who you lay your head at night with, right? So like whether it's a girlfriend, whatever, like whoever you're living with, whoever you're sleeping with, whoever is having that type of influence around you is the most important person to your business. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of times when I'm looking at whether I'm investing in a business or looking at entrepreneur, I'm advising, I think about what does your relationship look like at home? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Because it's so important. Like you may have a client be like, fuck you, Austin, fuck you. And you're like, fuck you back. And then you hang up. Yeah. But your chick goes, you're not good enough for me. Mm. And then you have to go to work 30 minutes later after that. Yeah. You're fucked. The whole day you're fucked. Mm-hmm. You're mad at people. You're shorter with people. You're more angry with people. Yeah. You're just thinking in your head, you can't wait to get home to get your part of your argument out. For sure. And so I think it's so important to lay your head at night. And I think that it's the same in my situation, right? So Charlie gets to hear things that nobody else gets to hear. Yeah. Because when you hang up the phone, and like I was like, imagine if you had a 5 seconds after everyone hangs up on the phone with you, right? They say those 5 seconds. Yeah, for sure. Idiot. Yeah, I love that dude. Like you would really know what people think about you. For sure. And so I'm able to like pontificate just openly. Yeah. With Charlie and what I really was looking for was someone who was a good listener.
Yeah.
And that may sound misogynistic to certain listeners.
For sure.
But what it means is that from a business perspective, I'm looking for someone that I can just open everything up to without feeling judged.
Yeah.
It's very important.
Yeah.
So you open it all up and you go, oh, I'm thinking of this, I'm thinking of this, I'm thinking of this.
Yeah.
What you want is you want someone who knows the real you and the real you want to be, so that they can keep you on track with who the real you is, or you know, at that moment.
Yeah.
And so if you're making the decision, they go, you know what, babe, you know, I think that if you're gonna have to deal with this person on an ongoing basis, I know the money seems really good, but I wouldn't do it because you're going to have another opportunity come up. And so being able to have that vocalization and have that reflection internally, so that, and it's absence of, you know, someone who even, you know, like a business partner, I'll tell Anthony things and I'm like, here's this, and he keeps me who I am, which is why I love him.
For sure.
The people who you love the most are the people who keep you who you really are.
Yeah.
And so being able to share that with someone, you know, at home on a day-to-day basis and kind of create that narrative. I tried initially to split business and home. I tried initially to say, look, I work hard all day. I want to come home and just not talk about anything.
Yeah.
That was the initial thought.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And then, you know, and then I realized a kind of a balance.
Okay.
The balance for me was being able to share what I felt like I should share to the person that I love and I'm spending my life with.
Yeah.
Because believe it or not, that person you choose to spend your life with is really a direct, you know, really feeling the direct implications of the choices you make in business. So why would you not want to include someone? And as long as you feel that person is right in including them, and even if they're just listening, like nothing beats for an entrepreneur literally just venting.
For sure.
Just 2 hours. You're just throwing it as a dude, right? You're just like throwing it out there. And you're like, no, but you know what? But then, no, but you know what? But then, and then all of a sudden you kind of come to a realization. And maybe you don't have a solution at the end of it. But you're like, all right, I feel better.
Like,
way better.
For sure.
You know what? I'm not going to do it.
I'm
not going to do it. And so having that is worth so much. It's so valuable.
For sure.
And I think that that's why, one of the reasons why, you know, Charlie is not working a traditional job at the moment is that I know I bring so much shit on her. Like I'm so heavy of a presence that I need that attention.
For sure.
And I'm willing to like sacrifice some things in order to have that attention because of what I'm working on. It's so important. I feel like if you're Stephen King, top novelist, to be able to have someone to turn to your left and your right and be like, what do you think about this? Or like, am I being weird with this? Or you think I'm gonna get in trouble with this? And just openly talk about those things. It's worth so much to your business.
For sure.
And so it's difficult for me to be emotionally available for the partner in my life for her work troubles. You know, because for me, it's like, who cares? Like, what do you make there? I'll just pay for it. You know what I mean? That's what goes emotionally goes to.
That's big.
And it's like, what is it worth to have your full attention? Because I need you. I need all of you. And I know that means that I'm taking all of you. And so for me, I realized that as an entrepreneur, someone who's coming up, someone who's figuring things out, I need to have someone who is emotionally, physically, and mentally available for me. And also, there might be on the weekend, I go, let's fly to Turks and Caicos. I need to just blow some steam. And if I have a girlfriend, if I'm serious with a girlfriend and she goes, well, I got to work on the weekend, then I'm like, oh, what the hell? You know, like I'm frustrated. So and that's something that a lot of people don't talk about. And everyone's different. Everyone has their own things. But I think that one of the most beautiful things in life is to have someone who unconditionally supports you, unconditionally loves you. And whether you succeed or not, will still be with you. But wants you to succeed because it means a lot to you.
Right. Well, I recently started looking at, and then I'll let you go off. So I recently started studying, like, maybe not necessarily billionaires, but for the 100 millionaires and billionaires and companies and corporations rather than people I follow on social media. And you look at guys like Damon John, Mark Cuban, Grant Cardone, Bob Proctor, right? Whatever you want to look at. Their wives all look. Damon John doesn't walk out in the morning to go be Damon John, and his wife, I don't know what his wife does, but I can guarantee you she doesn't go to a salon unless that's her passion, right? And that's what she wants to do. Because why, right? It's you're Damon John. Why would you? She doesn't. So I think what you're saying is really like dead accurate because. When you study the right people, they're doing exactly what you're describing, right? When you're looking at like just your, and I'm not saying like being a millionaire is amazing, right? Like people that are, like whatever, but like if you want to, it depends on what your goal is, right? But when you study these people up here, that's what they're doing. Yeah. They're doing what you just described, right? Yeah. They're not going, their lives are very much ingrained, and they do things together. They, whatever. So anyways.
I like that.
Yeah.
To bounce off what you said, Snow, about, and now obviously Austin and I, we interviewed Anthony, right? In a previous episode, go check that out. Super cool dude, right? Yep. And we got a chance to ask him this question and kind of hear like his side of things, right? And so I'm curious to hear what your side of things is, just like the business partnership, right? Like how, what? You know what I'm saying? And so, like, obviously Austin told you a little bit of, like, our situation, right? We've lived together for the last 5 years. We've known each other. I met him on Instagram. We've started multiple companies. We've started 20, but 12 of them have failed miserably, almost embarrassingly, right? And we've started some that were successful and some that we decided to pass off. And then obviously, we live together, which is a completely different scenario, right? Living, business, like we essentially put a ring on it. You know what I'm saying? And so a lot of people kind of ask the questions like, and we fought like fist fight, not so much fist fight, but like got into it like 2 times in 5 years. Yep. You know what I mean? Through all of the stuff that we've gone through. You know what I mean? Like, if he leaves a mess at the house, which he never does, I just call a cleaner. You know what I mean? And vice versa. You know what I mean? It's none of those that right. In the partnership, it's the deeper lying stuff. And we got a chance to hear from Anthony that you're a visionary, right? That you are the visionary, and he in that particular business, right, is the implementer, right? So I just want to dive into, people ask all the time, Austin and I, like, how the hell do you guys have the relationship that you guys have? Because him and I will be at Cold Beers tonight drinking a beer, right? But who we are in here, people are like, how are you able to do that out there and also be who you guys are in here? So I'm just curious on like your relationship with your business partners. Obviously you have probably multiple business partners, but what is your emotions, your thoughts and processes going through that entire thing?
Well, yeah, I mean, so I met Anthony freshman year of college. So that was about 8 years ago. And, the nature of the origin of our relationship was he came to see me speak at an ASU class. And I was talking about, how I built, my business at the time and websites, whatever. And he ended up hitting me up. And I remember it was his email address was a Yahoo email address. He hit me up and he's like, I'm working on some stuff. Like, can you give me some feedback, etc. And I was like, all right, whatever. Like, give him some feedback. And then he hit me up again. And long story short, I realized this dude's pretty persistent. Yeah. Like, he's like hitting me up over and over and over again. Sure. And he's also making stuff happen. Like he's a hustler. He's making it happen. And so over a few years, I had a lot of different stuff going on. And then finally I got to a point where I was like, I had this idea book. It was like a sketchbook I got on Amazon. It was just big blank pages, and I'd write all my ideas out, business model, pricing, everything. And then I was like, there's a lot in there. Yeah. There's only so much I'm going to be able to get through. For sure. I need to find an amazing partner. And Anthony was someone that just was consistently there. Yeah. Just like, he was just always there. He's always happy. Yeah. Chill. Yeah. And I'm kind of crazy in the aspect of like, here's what we're going to do. And let me get on the phone. I'll call him right now. I'll call the CEO. Sure. I don't care. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Anthony is much more of that implementer of like, okay, Josh, like, I think this idea is pretty good. This one, not so good. This one's really good. Yeah. And we have the mutual respect. Yeah. To be able to nod out on certain things and say, and bow out and say, you know what, you're right on this one. I'll take the next one. Yeah. And I think that there's this kind of game of ping pong and tennis back and forth. Yeah. Where you kind of say, you know what, I'm going to stand my ground on this one because this is something I feel really passionate about. Yeah. And I found that our communication, so this is so important. And this is something that I'm historically not good at. Because I'm a little bit of just, I fire, ready, aim, apologize. For sure. Right? That's just who I am. Right?
That's a new one.
It's that's how I go. But that's how I was trained to go, you know? Yeah. And so for me, it's like I've learned to be a lot more vocal and like communicate and say, hey, I was being really hard yesterday, Anthony. Like, I apologize for that. Yeah. I didn't mean to do that, and really look, if you're going to treat this like a relationship, treat this like a relationship.
Right.
Yeah.
So if I fucked up yesterday, I'm going to come out and say it.
Yeah.
If I felt a little bit weird about something, I'm going to come out and say it.
Yeah.
If I feel something's a little bit weird, you know, like if I felt like, hey, you're taking a little too much money out of the business on these personal expenses, let's talk about it.
Yeah.
And for me, I don't give a fuck. So for me, I'm going to call it all out.
Yeah, for
but
sure.
I will tell you, there was a book I read, which has the worst title in the world.
It's Rocket Fuel or something like that?
No.
Have you read that one?
Too. That one's good. That's where we got the visionary. Yeah. We read that and we're oh, that's you. I was like, that's you. Got it.
Yeah.
But no, there's a book called How I Got Rich.
Okay.
And it's by Felix Dennis. He's the founder of Maxim Magazine. He was worth 500 million pounds when he died. And there were two things that stood out from that book for me. And the first one was the best partnership he had was with two other guys, and he had his own thing. Now, it didn't have to be a business. It could have been a nonprofit. It could have been a garden in his backyard.
Yeah.
He had his own thing. And as a man, he was able to kind of assert himself on his own garden, on his own business.
Yep.
So that when it came to the partnership, he felt like he didn't always have to be right.
Yeah.
He felt like he said, you know, I'm going to let these guys have it because I respect them. Otherwise, why would I have a partner with them?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to step back and I'm going to go plant some radishes because I can control that. That's me.
Yeah.
And so having this outlet, so for me, snow is an outlet for me. For him, sight flood is an outlet for him.
Yeah.
So he can step outside and say, you know what? I felt like I was not listened to, or I felt like I should have pushed harder.
Yeah.
But I'm going to let it go. I'm going to go right here.
Yeah.
And it just pulls him away.
Yeah.
So if you've got something, it could be a garden, it could be a dog, it could be a relationship, and something that you can kind of assert that kind of creative control around, it allows you to kind of let things go. And he made the majority of his wealth partnering with other people in that business. And he was able to do that because they were all independently wealthy. And I think it helps when you already make some money. Like once you have a little bit of money, it's not like, you're not like, Austin, if I don't do this, like I can't pay, I can't buy my whiskey.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, you
sure.
guys are good. Like once you're good,
Yeah.
you're kind of like, yo, like we're on the same page. Like, you know what? I'll let you have this one. You know what?
sure.
I'll let you have this one.
Yeah.
It becomes playful in that aspect because you respect each other.
Yeah.
But I think what's been important for me is communicating it, understanding when I did something maybe wrong.
Yeah.
And so like, it'll happen a lot of times. I'll come in as the visionary.
Yeah.
And I'll have this grand plan. And I dreamt it up. I'm like, okay, we need to do this. We need to do that. We need to do that. And we end up losing $100,000.
Yeah.
Right. Like literally
sure.
overnight. It happens every few months.
Yeah.
But the times I'm right means that we make millions of dollars. And it's because of both of us. It's because I came up with the vision, the idea, Anthony implemented. Great.
Yep.
A lot of times we lose a lot of money.
Yep.
But being able to say, yo, you know, I know that what I did last time was wrong.
Yeah.
But instead of like being delusional and pretending like, no, we got to keep going. We got to keep going. I'll take a step back as a visionary and be like, all right, you know what?
Yeah.
Let the implementer do this thing. I don't want to throw more on the plate
For sure.
just because I had this crazy dream last night, you know?
Yeah.
So you have to balance between the visionary and the implementer over time. Otherwise you kind of bulldoze that other person into submission, and they're kind of simply there because they're there.
Yeah.
Right.
And I never want Anthony to be my business partner just because he's simply my business partner.
Yeah.
I want it to be an everyday decision to be like, wow. And don't get me wrong. There are days where we'll bicker, you know, and we'll, you know, it's any relationship.
Yeah,
For sure.
for sure.
We'll
100%.
bicker.
Yeah.
And like, yo, I'm sorry about bickering yesterday.
Yeah.
But being vocal about that.
Yeah.
But we're on this understanding that we're on the same goal.
Yeah.
Like we're together and
sure.
we're going to get there, you know, so much more quickly doing it together than by ourselves.
100%.
Unbelievable.
And it's going to be that
100%.
much bigger. If
100%.
you remind yourself of that every day, you will say, I fucking love this man.
Yeah.
Like I fucking love this man.
Yeah.
Sometimes I hate him, but most of the time I love him.
For sure.
And without him, I wouldn't be the best version of myself.
For sure. 100%. I had a good mentor. His name's Dave Jordan.
Yeah.
He's worth 600-700 million. And I remember I made a lot of money at 21, and it was in network marketing. I was selling weight loss coffee. And he said, Austin, you can go fast alone, but you can go far together. And then ever since I met this cat, we're just gonna rock and roll this motherfucker. You know what I mean?
And I want you to remember one thing. I want you to remember one thing. This is the last thing I'll say about the partnership stuff, is that there are compounding returns, not just to money, but there are compounding returns to relationships.
For sure.
And the grass is greener where you water it.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And you have to nurture those relationships.
Yeah.
I think a lot of times it's easy to get distracted by the glitz and glamour of success.
Yeah.
The glitz and glamour of growth. The glitz and glamour of optionality.
Yeah.
And I will tell you that you will go to sleep feeling much better, knowing that you're being loyal to your partnership in every shape and form.
Yeah.
And over a long period of time, you get those compounding returns.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's what, if you look at Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger, and you look at, every freaking $1 billion company, there's a partnership going on there.
Oh, for sure.
Of some way, shape, or form.
100%.
Even if it's Mark Zuckerberg and Sheryl Sandberg,
Sure.
Yeah.
there's a big partnership. She's a billionaire as well.
For sure.
But understanding that over time, you will gain those compounding returns. It's like in a relationship, you learn about each other the first year or two. You kind of learn what you don't like, what you don't like. To have to restart that entire process over and over your entire life, it's going to be hard to make significant progress.
For sure.
And so what you guys have together, it's very important to protect that.
Yeah.
Because although the glitz and glamour and there's this and there's that and there's this and that, I know at the end of the day, I enjoy working with Anthony.
Yeah.
Right.
I enjoy that.
Yeah.
And it's so hard. Business partnerships fail at an even higher rate than marriages.
Oh, yeah.
Marriages
Yeah.
like 60%.
Yeah.
So when you find something where you've been able to kind of figure it out,
Yeah.
and it's never perfect, but
Yeah.
you don't want it to be perfect, you got to stick with that. You got to protect that.
100%.
Because over a long period of time, now you guys one Austin might say, you know what, I want to do some pig farming. And you're like, bro, like if you need me, I'm there. But like, I don't know anything about that. That's not my thing. Now he may go and have a pig farm and you may go out and have a strip club. Right. And it's like, it's different things, but internally you understand that you guys vibe on the same energy and it's that compounding return over a long period of time. You want to have kids with, AKA businesses with, right? Those are your kids.
Yep.
You want to have kids with someone that you can vibe with over a long period of time.
Yep.
Having 10 kids from 10 different moms is not that exciting.
Right.
That's a lot of work.
For sure.
So you'd rather have 10 kids with one super mom that you just vibe with.
Yeah.
And so once you find a super
Like
mom,
cheaper by the dozen.
that's
You know what I mean?
it. That's it.
I don't know how that even came to me right now.
Yeah, for sure. I like that.
Dude, this has been a phenomenal. I couldn't even tell you how long it's
I
been,
don't
but
even
like
know. Justin, how long are we?
unbelievable. Justin's like tired of standing. That's about where we're at.
60? A little over.
So
Unbelievable.
Like I feel like we could do in a couple of months from now, a follow up
Absolutely.
episode of
I'm
this.
down the road.
Yeah.
Because this has just been we could in all reality we could do a whole nother however long it's been, we could double it. So we may as well
triple, quadruple.
just have some version of part 2 to this.
Has to.
In a few months from
We
now.
didn't even get into the personal. You know what I mean?
Right.
I get in trouble. Really the right answer is Austin and I get spanked in a bad way when we go over 30 minutes.
Yeah.
But now that we're over 60,
it's
sheesh, they
all
gotta
good.
start paying.
I gotta
for
tell
us
you,
this
no, I
episode.
gotta tell you, I do almost every time. I was Charlie came with me with Chris drama, and we sat there and we were just talking like this,
Right.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't like, so what is the engagement metrics you look for on Instagram? Those are important things, but it was just shooting the shit.
Yep.
Yeah.
But dude, you know what? That's where all the value comes from.
I'm telling you, celebrities, hundreds of celebrities, tens of millions of followers, they all hit me up and go, bro, I heard your stuff on dramas. I heard that. It was like I got more out of that because it was just a heart to heart. It was just
real.
like
Yeah,
real.
for sure.
It's real, bro.
It was real.
It's real.
And these are the type of conversations I love to have because it's like, there's all these tactics and there's all this, but tactics change. You know? It's like,
for sure.
What about the person? What about the
100%.
thoughts? What about the strategy? What's working on? So I'm more than happy to come on anytime.
For sure.
We really
I love
appreciate
it,
that.
dude.
And you know what? A lot of people are talking about the tactics.
Yeah.
Very few people are talking about the shit we're talking about here. I really believe that.
100%.
That's why we started the ANA show.
Truthfully.
In all reality, I looked at Austin, he looked at me, and we said, we could reach a lot of people.
Yeah.
We're it'll take some time, right?
Yeah.
It'll take a little bit of time. We're gonna have to get the set, to look decent, and we're gonna have to do it a little different than everybody else. There's a million podcasts, 29 million downloads. But I said we could reach a lot of people. But I said, more importantly than that, I want to learn.
Yeah.
And we wanted to learn from our guests.
Yeah.
And as a byproduct of us learning and us communicating and interacting and just doing what we just did, they get to learn. Everybody else gets to learn.
For sure.
And it's just a win-win all the way around. And it's just a real, raw, authentic way to do it, really, in my opinion.
Yep. For
So
sure.
with that, Josh, Snow,
Dude. Thank you so much.
ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you both.
Yeah, dude.
Yes.
Thank you for being here.
you.
Of course.
We're gonna link. Obviously, you already know Josh. We're gonna link all of his stuff in the description below.
Anyways, we'll do it anyways.
Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Like the video, leave a review,
Yeah.
hit Josh
Give us
up,
a 5-star.
and stay tuned because we're
Yeah.
gonna have him back on the show. Let
That's
me
right.
tell you, and
Yep.
we're gonna keep bringing the heat.
That's right.
I don't even know how to end it.
That's right.
It's
It's
that
just too
good.
good.
You know what I mean?
Snow, we're gonna have you end it
Yeah,
here. What's that
What
one
you got?
piece of
it's
advice
that one thing.
that you just give to somebody that you just want to leave here today?
Chase difficulty.
He didn't even think about it.
That's a wrap.